Profesor Dr. Faizul Nizam bin Abu Salim atas macam tu kesudianlah untuk kita adakan the first thing ever lah untuk podcast sulung kita yang dinamakan Beyond Vision. Kenapa dia kata dinamakan Beyond Vision? Sebenarnya sebab ianya bukan sekadar melihat masa depan, tetapi kita juga membina masa depan bersama, ya. Dr. Faizul, apa khabar? Sihat?
Alhamdulillah sihat, terima kasih.
So dah makan semua okey?
Dah makan dah, saya keluar tadi.
Okey, baiklah. So kita cut to the chase lah pengarah. Kita panggil pengarah tu Dr. Faizul.
Whichever you are comfortable with. Dengan izin.
Yang I comfortable, I panggil pengarah lah. Okey, selalu saya panggil pengarah kan, Dr. Faizul. Okey, pengarah. First thing saya nak tanya pengarah lah. Kita mulakan macam tu, kita punya podcast ni dengan soalan pertama. Jika macam tu pengarah melihat hospital Rehab Ceras ni kan, bukan sebagai pengarah hospital, tetapi sebagai seorang pengunjung ataupun pemerhati luar yang pertama kali melangkah masuk ke HRC. Apakah perkara pertama yang menarik perhatian pengarah dan apakah first impression yang pengarah harapkan setiap pesakit, penjaga, pelawat dan juga kaki tangan rasai apabila mereka berada di HRC?
So ni kita bercakap pasal judging the book by its cover lah.
Yeah.
Yang saya rasa unfortunately walaupun benda tu ada yang rasa macam it's not fair to judge a book by its cover, tapi many people do that. It's a common thing to be done, that you going to judge something by looking at the outlook of it. Dan unfortunately juga untuk fasiliti kesihatan KKM ni, ialah kita ni bukan hospital yang macam lain. Kita tahu, tapi orang lain bila datang dekat fasiliti, oh ni fasiliti kerajaan KKM, so dia orang dah ada some thinking dalam dia punya pemikiran. Hospital KKM ni macam ni kan. Bila datang kat kita, dia akan nampak berbeza. Jadi first impression saya datang ke HRC first kali waktu saya masih lagi berbekas dengan Tan Sri Nur Hisham. Kita buat lawatan ke HRC sebelum COVID lagi. Saya pun tak ingat tahun berapa, saya rasa mungkin 2018. Betul ke Dr. Yati? Saya ingat jumpa Dr. Yati dekat DP Ward 1B masa tu, tapi saya tak ingat lah tahun bila exactly when. 2017 kan. Tapi masa tu memang bila datang tu kita I was very impressed. I was very impressed with the setup. Having some experience of managing patient dekat hospital yang kampung, bila datang kat sini tengok, wah, the setup is very much different and we see potential. We see that there's so many things that can be done here. And in fact, Tan Sri masa tu pun ada bagi some suggestions which I felt that was the right suggestion to be given. And suddenly bila saya datang sebagai pengarah, then obviously those are the things yang saya kata, okay, dulu Tan Sri sebut, it's also for me to take it up from where he has mentioned. Tapi back to the question, as a visitor, kalau the first time datang, obviously the first impression would be, wow, this is not apa yang kita tu tengok judging book its cover tadi tu. Naratif pasal hospital KKM yang sering kita baca dekat media sosial, bila kita datang kat sini nampak macam it's not like that. So dia macam memberikan kita macam satu positive vibe. Wow, kan? Macam tu lah. You masuk je dekat lobby tu, you akan rasa macam wow, this is not what I expected. So bila you dah ada that ability to make people feel that this is not what I expected, so dia orang become teruja lah. Macam saya lah, when I walk in, I become teruja lah. Kan, apa benda tempat ni? What can we do here? So that is basically what it was all about. And sama ada we can continue to surpass that expectation. Bila orang dah datang, dia ada expectation yang low, tiba-tiba dia masuk dan dia nampak expectation dia yang tadi low ni tiba-tiba dah naik tinggi, dan dia akan ada new expectation. Can we continue to meet that high expectation now? Can we continue to be at that level? That is our challenge.
Okey, menarik perkongsian pengarah. Kita nak tanya juga, sebab kita podcast ni sangat santai, ada juga macam tu Q&A session lah. Jadi saya nak tanya juga on the floor lah, maksudnya yang newcomers to the HRC. Mungkin kita boleh pilih Puan Nadia. Puan Nadia, okey, sebagai macam tu pendatang baru lah pengarah kepada untuk berkhidmat ke HRC kan. Mungkin Puan Nadia boleh kongsikanlah sikit apa pandangan Puan Nadia bila mana diminta diarahkan untuk lapor diri ke HRC.
Assalamualaikum. Okay, pertama sekali bila saya diberi tahu untuk ke HRC, so saya macam terkejut juga, macam sebab saya daripada keusahawanan, saya punya background. So bila dapat ke KKM, dapat ke hospital, so saya macam okay, tak apa, kita pergi. So bila saya sampai di sini, saya dapati HRC ni sangat unik. HRC ada dia punya cara tersendiri, dia punya cantik lah. HRC ni cantik dan sangat unik. So saya jadi macam okay, kita explore lah apa yang kita boleh explore. Dan saya pasti kepimpinan di sini sangatlah bagus, terutamanya dalam menguruskan hospital yang katanya yang lain daripada lain, ya. So kepimpinan di sini kita dapat lihat dari segi pengurusan perubatan dan dari keseluruhan sangat-sangatlah bagus dan baik. So sebagai newcomer, saya rasa gembira ditugaskan di sini dan mengambil kesempatan untuk ucapkan terima kasih kepada Tuan Pengarah dan juga semua yang bantu saya sepanjang di sini. Terima kasih.
Baiklah, terima kasih Puan Nadia atas perkongsian yang cukup menarik bagi saya. Kepada, sebab kita tengok juga, kita tak nak short sendiri, nak tanya juga pendapat pada orang yang baru datang lah kan. Okey, kita teruskan kepada semua HOD dan juga wakil yang hadir pada hari ini di Bengkel Plan Strategik HRC. Bisa kata kalau ada soalan nak tanya, boleh PM saya, ada nombor saya, boleh PM, saya tanyakan kepada tetamu kita lah, pengarah kita. Baiklah, soalan kedua pengarah, tadi pengarah dah maklumkan, dia kongsikan berkenaan dengan HRC ni institusi lain pada hospital kerajaan yang sedia ada. Jadi pada pendapat pengarah kan, apakah kekuatan utama yang membezakan HRC ini daripada institusi kesihatan yang lain? Maksudnya dalam masa yang sama, apakah aspek yang masih perlu kita perbaiki ataupun ubah agar HRC terus kekal relevan dan tidak ketinggalan dalam landscape perkhidmatan rehab dan digital yang semakin berkembang? Mungkin boleh pengarah kongsikan?
Mungkin satu tadi yang saya tak sebut lah kan, beyond daripada apa yang expectation kan. When we come here, we come to the HRC, bukan sini lah, so HRC, when I say here tu I mean HRC. Apart from the hardware, apart from the outlook of the facility, is also the software, the soft touch. Daripada nak cari parking, itu yang saya tekankan tadi dalam mesyuarat pasal nak cari parking ni, because our patient are very special. So when they are special, obviously these small little things will add on to the orang punya journey. So parking, datang dekat kita punya lobby, bantuan daripada kita punya pengawal keselamatan, kita punya unit keselamatan, kita punya PPBK yang akan ada dekat kaunter depan. This sort of thing you don't always see in other hospitals. See, these are actually soft touch yang kita kadang-kadang take it for granted. But when you are actually looking after someone, and these are the things that you really appreciate when someone else yang you tahu ni kerja you ada tanggungjawab, katakan you nak bawa mak you, tapi ada orang lain yang bantu ni, it becomes very much more rewarding for you. Dia tak ada rasa macam leceh. Sebab apa you tahu, dia datang HRC ni akan bantu kita. Memanglah memanjakan sakit, tapi is where we are going for our extra mile. So itu antara strength kita sebenarnya, yang mana mungkin orang lain tak perasan. Benda ni pakcik saya sendiri bagi tahu. Dia datang kat sini untuk diorang buat CSR program, dia duduk, dia datang awal, dia duduk dekat lobby tu, dia perhati. Because my grandfather died many years ago, but he was a stroke patient and he was bedbound at home. Banyak benda yang dia buat physio ke rumah, but it was too massive of a stroke, so he couldn't recover much, couldn't speak, couldn't really move right side of his body. Tapi without any bed sore, korang jaga kat rumah apa semua. And he has to bring my grandfather to go to hospital untuk follow up lah. Dia kata benda macam ni yang susah. Dia sampai, dia kata nobody cares. You lah yang kena turun, you lah kena letak atas wheelchair, you lah kena letak parking tepi, you lah kena bayar dekat security dekat hospital tu untuk nak tolong jagakan sekejap. He has to go and park his car and comes back. And then ada yang insiden berlaku, kena marah, kenapa orang sini kat sini. So, ada macam-macam lah cerita yang dicerita. But you see that in HRC, dia tak berlaku macam tu. So these are the soft touch which is our strength, and it goes all the way until patient discharge. Sekarang dekat satu C ada seorang patient, kenalan saya juga, suami kepada bekas bos saya dekat KKM lah, Dr. Laili. Dulu dia banyak, kita punya GHOP, kita punya facility hospital, kita punya clustering, kita punya lean healthcare, semuanya daripada basically Dr. Laili punya brain lah. Husband dia masuk dekat 1C. Sekarang ni apa tu dia kena pergi ke HPJ. Dia datang dari HPJ lah. Lepas tu in between kena pergi HPJ, IKN. Nak sangat datang balik ke HRC. Bukan dia kata dia masuk je ke ward, dia kata staff-staff kata ingat dia. So that itself is already macam dia rasa macam tak baik lagi ni, tak buat lagi pun rehab. Tapi dia rasa macam that is very much important to him because people remember him. Dia rasa dihargai. This was what was shared to me last Friday. So kudos to every one of you. I think this is something that the value, the culture that we have at HRC, where the person serve, kalau ikut SCARF, person serve, this is where we put them in the driver's seat. And when they are in the driver's seat, they will guide us where we want to go. So I think this is the culture that has been there. I did not create this. I came and I noticed this is what you guys do. So it's out of your own practice. I think this need to be continued. This is something yang area kita yang sangat strong. So it comes from the passion, from the empathy, and from the desire to serve. So that's why I cakap rehab physician and those allied health physician dan juga nursing team dan juga paramedic teams yang bekerjasama dalam this rehab medicine punya services, they are different because they ambil time for the patient to be cared for the patient to be managed, for them to feel that they are actually important, for them to then recover back. So this is where I think your real strength are. Obviously it comes with some areas of improvement. Kita semua tak sempurna. We always have areas to improve. And if we are thinking that we have no areas to improve, then we are lying to ourselves and you're going to continue to be in this denial state. You akan rasa bongkak lah. So that's why this reflection on how we are doing is very important. So the moment you reflect and you find that yourself, you have some areas to improve, and after that you act on it, then you will become better. So areas yang I felt, because this question was given to me, so I was doing some thinking, and obviously I went through some reflection as I was thinking on what can I share. You know, some of the areas that I felt that we could be doing better is simply to have a more sense of urgency. If anything, you know, this one thing, if we can improve the sense of urgency kat dalam hospital. Sorry lah saya cakap English banyak because when I express myself, I tend to express myself better in English. Adalah kadang-kadang in BM pun okey juga, tapi dalam BM tu kalau sebut perkataan-perkataan pelik-pelik yelah. Tapi when I express myself, I tend to do it better in English. So I think to have this sense of urgency is very much important dekat HRC, because otherwise we're going to continue to be doing things orang kata continue the same lah. Kalau macam dalam medical field, physician selalu continue the same kan. I don't come from continue the same punya school of thought. I come from doing something about whatever we are doing. So surgical line, usually we will do something. Kalau patient tu dah continue the same, balik lah. If patient is there, nothing else for you to add on, then you bagi patient balik lah. Tapi if there's something for you to do, you're gonna have to think hard. How can I do it? And you have to think fast. You cannot be thinking, okay, hari ni we kerja, kita fikir esok lah. Kicking the can down the road. So that is another thing. We always kick the can down the road. You're gonna come to that can again. Obviously some complex issue you're gonna have to kick it down, but not all. Many things we can settle today, we settle today, because tomorrow we're gonna have other things to do. So these are the things that I think some of the culture adjustment that if we can do in HRC, we're gonna be better off. And secondly, areas of improvement is improving our efficiency. So we are challenged. We are challenged with reducing number of human resource. When I first joined September 2023, I think if I remember correctly, we were about 858 staff. Betul ke Puan Izdi? Lebih kurang takat itulah, ke 838 macam itulah. The number was quite nice. Now we have 720? 750, campur dengan my step lah kan? Campur dengan contract my step is about 750. So that's about 100 down from where we were almost 3 years ago. So if your number of human resource is reducing, the workload is increasing, the only way for you to be able to cope with this is to increase your efficiency. Means every single time, every single minute that you have matters. Obviously you're going to be more tired because you're going to have to be coping with more people, more work with the similar time that you have, and in that way you're going to be able to somehow fikirlah macam mana nak buat. I don't want to go back beyond daripada working time biasa. Because if you're not able to solve siapkan kerja you dalam masa kerja tu, means you are not efficient. I'm not efficient, I have to admit that, because I have to bring back my stuff, my bag yang saya bawa balik kat rumah tu. Malam kan I continue to sign, but it's because I decided to do that. If I do it during office hours, boleh, but that means less time for me to go around, less time for me to go and see you guys, less time for me to spend on some other things which I think are very important for me to do as pengarah hospital. I cannot be sitting in the office just shutting my door, and not for people to come and see me. It's going to take months for appointments. So going around, being on the floor, on the ground, being with the staff, being with the patient, I think is very important. So that is the trade-off that I do. Okay lah, tak apalah, mana yang file yang tak urgent, cakap kat saya, masukkan dalam file, I'll bring it home. I have time at home, I don't want to stuck in traffic, I guess. Time at home, I just siapkan sekejap je, half an hour I can get all my things done. So macam tu lah, it's the trade-off for us to do, so that we remain to be efficient, but the trade-off need to be done some other time lah. Whether you bring it on the weekend, whether you do it on the afternoon off, ataupun waktu rehat. Ada setengah orang waktu rehat, dia tak nak 1 jam tu dia tak nak buat kerja, dia nak makan, fine, that's okay. Ada setengah orang, dia kata tak nak, I nak balik awal, so I nak siapkan kerja, waktu lunch I makan 15 minit, I do my work. So it depends on each one of us on how you want to set that, but the efficiency drive I think needs to be done. I think I've spoken enough, tak boleh habis kan.
Itu macam pegun sekejap tengok macam dengar but it's very good things lah pengarah. I think two things yang saya boleh highlight kan is urgency and also efficiency. Even though that we don't have emergency department, but dua benda tu kena memang betul-betul kena kita terapkanlah dalam kehidupan harian kita Okay pengarah, since kita dekat sini, dekat Bangi Convention Center ni, kita macam tu untuk memhalusilah bengkel plan strategi kita untuk 2026 sehingga 2030. I think since I masuk HRC, this is my first time untuk adakan bengkel plan strategi ni. Saya tak pasti sebelum ni ada ataupun tak untuk HRC mengadakan bengkel plan strategi ni. Jadi untuk soalan saya pengarah kan, sebagai pengarah hospital lah, apakah perubahan minda atau mindset yang pengarah ingin lihat dalam kalangan ketua jabatan yang hadir pada hari ini untuk menjayakan plan bengkel plan strategi HRC ni? What's your hope lah ataupun harapan pengarah?
Okey, pertamanya kita memang hari-hari pun nak kena buat kerja. Kerja harian kita tu yang hakiki, I think it runs without us having to sit down and do plan strategic pun. Ada benda yang ada dalam takwim kita, iaitu memang kita akan buat macam mana yang kita buat sedia ada lah. Tapi yang ini dia lebih daripada itu. Dia ke mana kita nak pergi dalam kita punya 5 years yang akan datang ni. Benda tu tak semestinya akan datang daripada seorang pengarah hospital. Pengarah hospital pun akan berubah, akan tiba-tiba tak sihat, akan tiba-tiba kena hantar ke tempat lain. Benda macam tu akan jadi. Macam mana saya tiba-tiba kena campak ke HRC, campak sebab saya tak minta ke HRC tapi dia hantar. Alhamdulillah, bila saya datang, saya okay, this is a very good place, I think it's a lot can be done here, and I was very excited. Up to a point I decided, okay, put aside my PhD, I'm not going to do this anymore because this is more important, and also my kids was more important for them to start their college life and also their university and finish up their SPM at that time. So that was the trade-off that I decided to do. I wanted to finish my PhD, but kalau ada rezeki in the future, some of the time. So that was the early part lah. So that mindset change kalau nak buat. Kita kena tengok in 5 years time where you want to be. Where do you see yourself, your department, your hospital going to be in the next 5 years? So the end justify where we are going to. Macam mana kita nak sampai ke ujung tu. Kalau kita tak tahu macam nak ke mana kita nak pergi, then obviously we won't chart ourselves to go there. Kita akan continue yang kerja harian ni lah kan. Kita akan tengok patient takkan berkurang, hari-hari akan datang. Kita masih kena slotkan dalam jadual, kita masih kena buat prosedur, kita masih kena buat macam-macam kerja ni. Mesyuarat mesti berjalan macam biasa. But if you don't sit down, group together and decide, this is where we want to be. So where do we want to be? Ini yang mindset yang saya minta semua sit down and buat. And it was purposely done in such a way, sebab in my mind, where we want to be is a global center of excellence. in rehab medicine. So it's not just a local player. Benda ni daripada awal Dr. Ruslan dah sebut world class. So Dr. Yati asked me, where you want to be? Dia tanya balik tau, kan, you never articulated to us where you think HRC should be in the next 5 years. So in my mind, it should be a global center of excellence. Bukan setakat COE yang KKM nak ni. COE KKM nak, dia punya definition, dia kena ada recognition from external party, external body to say that you are center of excellence. Bukan macam private hospital lah, ada yang dia akan self recognize themselves because it's part of their branding process. I was just talking to Cik Syed lah, the patient I was talking about in 1C tu. Dia kata he used to be with Sam Dhabi. Masa tu dulu Guthrie and Guthrie dia became Sam Dhabi. So when SGMC was open back in 80s tu, masa tu pun dia dah sebut, kata diorang center of excellence. Who said that you are center of excellence? Dia kata, okay lah, orang yang private, dia tak fikir benda ni because for them, it's a branding effort. So when you search kat internet, okay, center of excellence, hospital kat Klang Valley, SGMC keluar. So people will go there. Public don't know this. Tapi for Ministry of Health Hospital, we must take it on ourselves that we must be of certain standard before we call ourselves center of excellence. Which is why in our website, semua kena revamp. Benda yang semua selama ni kita self-proclaim, it was removed because we want to be able to show to them that we are betul of this standard and it was not us who said it. It was someone else, external party. Better if it's from international. So if it's from international, then we become a global center of excellence. Whether we are at par or better in terms of our outcome, we compare dengan orang lain ke tak, that's the second matter. First, we get that center of excellence. Second step, how about our outcome, functional outcome measurement? What do we call that? Apa Dr. Yati? Functional outcome measures. Kan, for each award, each apa nama tu, subspecialty dia akan ada kan outcome measures that we want to do. Do we share this openly, transparently? Do we compare ourselves with other centers in the world? So if we can do that, IJN did that. They know that they are good, but they didn't know whether they are any better than others or not. So what they did, internally, they orang start buat dulu their own benchmarking. Once they have done their own internal benchmarking, they start to find openly available resources out there, yang dekat Mayo Clinic, Cleveland, dekat UK punya centers, cardiothoracic centers. They will share their outcome measures in terms of their punya outcome of care. And then from there they realise, kita better lah. Then they are more confident and they start to openly share. Here, do we even have our internal auditing on our outcome measures? So this mindset need to happen. Not just being a center of excellence, not just tukar nama pada institute. That is just the branding. Branding, communication is my area, Mirab's area. I like to do this because it will give us the attention, the leverage for people to have trust in us and for them to invest in us. That's why we are going for this. Kita dah ada MSQH, why go for CAF? Ada add value ke? Bila hari tu, bila CAF one-on-one datang, si Terry, okay, kita nampak ada benda ni, kita tak ada, ni tak ada, ni tak ada. This will make us better. Fine, we're worth for us to go through this struggle. But more than that is the branding that we get. Once you get that branding, what's next? Then the mindset need to change. Sharing transparently what we do here in terms of our outcome. Because you know why? Patient nak datang kat kita, dia tengok kat kita, what will the patient ask? Can this hospital make me better or not? If I have this X and Y disease, okay, whatever illness that you have, and this can be rehabilitated in HRC, if I were to come to HRC, can I get better or not? Wouldn't you ask that question? If you go to private kan, dia pergi kat okay lah, Prince Court, okay, dia pakar-pakar yang so yang hebat. If you were to go there, you feel like okay, I'm putting myself in the best position where I can get better, or my parents can get better, or my kids can get better, you know, and you have that trust. Tapi kita ni orang datang, dia tak tahu tau, can you actually get better or not? But if we can share that transparently, you know, be open about it, then only we'll be able to, you know, compare ourselves with others. and know internationally actually we are better than others. Maybe we are worse, but if we are worse than others but still the best in the country, it's already a win. Even if you are not the best in the country, we know the gap. If you don't know your gap, macam tadi lah, bila you do your own reflection, then you know these are my gaps. No, all of us have our blind spots. If your blind spot is small, that's where you win. If your blind spots are big, that means you don't know what you are behind. So this is what I'm trying to do, and slowly we move towards that. Betul lah Dr. Yati, I've never shared this. Tapi in my mind, that's what we are trying to head towards lah. Whether it become a reality or not, I think it's worthwhile effort for us to put our time into it. I think there's too much on my mindset already.
Yeah, I think it's more clarity in terms of you punya mindset dan juga harapan lah pengarang Sebab kat HRC juga kita nak tanya jugalah top management kita sebab kita dapat tahu daripada pengarah kita dia punya harapan untuk HRC 5 years ahead. Dan I think menjawab juga soalan yang kita terima daripada Anonymous yang mengatakan berkenaan dengan apa pencapaian yang Dr. Faizul ingin HRC capai di peringkat kebangsaan maupun antarabangsa dalam masa 5 tahun ke depan. I think dah jawab lah Jadi kita tanya jugalah kepada top management kita, Dr. Tony Henderson, Timbalan Pengarah Perubatan kita. So actually apakah harapan Dr. Tony sebagai Timbalan Pengarah Perubatan dekat HRC ni buat HRC?
Terima kasih Encik Mira, soalan itu sangat bermakna lah. Okay. Harapan saya untuk HRC actually bukan sekadar mau lihat peningkatan pada angka sahaja ataupun pencapaian atas kertas sahaja. Saya mau lihat satu cultural reform, a transformation yang kita rasai dari setiap lapisan daripada kita punya staff, dari segi pesakit yang datang sampai ke warga kerja. So for example, I would like to see the change in the, how do I put this, holistic, as we put HRC, holistic resilience and progression. I want to see the holistic changes that we have, from the governance of good clinical practices to the how we treat our patients, to how the patient feel themselves. That when they know they come to HRC, they get good quality treatment. That's what I want. One of the first things which I can foresee that we should head to. Secondly, what I want to do is I would love HRC to be future-proof. In the sense that we are already resilient. I don't want to be come to a stage where HRC whenever we are ever changing digitalization of the world, saya tak nak kita ke belakang. HRC should be ready. So at any given time when something comes up, we are there. I do agree with Pengarah what his vision is. So in order for us to be there, we should be ready at the given time. So we have to be future-proof. And of course, for nothing can be achieved in our hospital without ourselves being compassionate to our own staff. I want to see our staff being well cared for. I want to see our staff being taken care in not only their physical aspects but also their mental health aspects of it. These are the few things which I want to foresee for HRC. I think HRC can achieve what Dr. Faizul has put out in our future strategic planning. But then again, to achieve this, certain mindsets has to change. I think we are on the right track. That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much Dr. Tony. Very interesting answer. Kita nak dengar juga pada Puan Nur Azizi Ashura kita, Timbalan Pengarah Pengurusan. Okay, apakah harapan Puan sebagai Timbalan Pengarah Pengurusan dekat HRC ni, walaupun mengira hari untuk bercuti belajar, mungkin boleh lontarkan atau kongsikan kepada kami semua.
Okay, terima kasih Cik Mira. Okay, from my perspective, of course lah, saya nak all this while waktu saya bekerja dekat JKWP, memang kita selalu dengar pasal HRC ni lah. HRC ni dulu dikenali sebagai hospital yang very lively and banyak cuma punya kreatif lah, creativity tu memang daripada dulu lagi memang dah dengar. So bila saya masuk ke HRC sebagai TP pengurusan, saya belajar banyak benda dan memang saya akui HRC ni berbeza dari segi environmentnya, orang-orangnya dan juga aim. Setiap staff dia ada aim untuk menjadikan HRC ini sebagai hospital yang cemerlang, of course. Tapi dalam kita nak menjadi hospital yang cemerlang, penyampaian perkhidmatan kita yang bertaraf dunia kan, kita nak ke arah tu. Saya percaya pengurusan juga memainkan peranan penting lah, kerana pengurusan adalah saya boleh katakan sebagai tulang belakang lah kepada semua servis, semua supaya kita dapat capai apa yang kita nak bersama-sama. Jadi saya selalu cakap juga kepada semua ketua unit di bawah pengurusan lah, yang walaupun kita hanya membantu, tapi kita membantu perlulah seiring dengan kehendak perkhidmatan. Jadi kalau mereka perlukan something in order untuk menjadikan KPI itu tercapai dan juga nak capai sesuatu, kita kena bantu instead of kita kata tak boleh. Okay, bantu tu macam mana? Kita cari cara. Kita bantu dari segi dapatkan contoh duit lah, of course kan, duit kan pakai banyak. Bantu dari segi cari flow, cari networking untuk membantu kita dapat. Sometimes kita tak dapat dengan cara kita hanya minta kepada kementerian, tapi kita dapat dengan cara kita usahakan dengan cara-cara yang lain. So saya berharap bahawa dalam kita nak memperkukuhkan penyampaian perkhidmatan kita juga boleh memperkukuhkan kerjasama antara semua disiplin lah, not only di klinikal, tapi kita work as a team, klinikal, non-klinikal dan juga pengurusan, supaya kita dapat capai apa yang kita nak pada masa sekarang dan juga 5 tahun akan datang. Itu pandangan saya lah. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Puan Razli. Kita juga pada hari ini untuk Bengkel Plan Strategi ini kita mengumpulkan bukan sekadar HOD ya, pengarah, kita juga ada pakar-pakar yang bersama kita pada hari ini. Terima kasih banyak mereka sanggup meluangkan masa untuk menghadiri Bengkel Plan Strategi untuk HRC ini for 5 years ahead. So maksudnya semua berkumpul pada hari ini untuk dengan satu misi untuk kita menjadikan HRC ini untuk menjadi perkhidmatan yang cemerlang. Mungkin kita nak dengar juga daripada Ketua Jabatan Perubatan Rehab Dr. Nurhayati Hussein, pendapat doktor pula, bagaimana harapan doktor?
Dirilah. Thank you Vera. Thank you juga Dr. Faizul. As I was thinking lah, harapan sebab masa buat strategic planning is 5 years planning. Okay. Tapi I'm pretty sure yang lain pun rasa 5 years planning, although it sounds 5 years is not so long, short, but it's not so easy to get to some point to articulate that in words kan. I mean I felt that way lah kan. Jadi bila kita terfikir 5 tahun, sebenarnya kita terfikir terjauh pula. 10 tahun pun sama juga. Tu sebab rasa macam susah pula to see what is actually beyond that 5 or even 10 years, and then to bring it over to where we are right now, and then to match where we are, and to be in the middle. Macam nak dream, nak over dream pun boleh, tapi can we actually deliver? But if we under dream, obviously we won't be able to deliver anything. Jadi saya rasa nak tengok 5 tahun 10 tahun tu sebenarnya susah, tapi maybe what is reality for now kan untuk saya. HRC, the strength is there is a big combination, a good combination of people. When I mean people means it's not various people, but the personality of each people juga. Ada yang gamho, laju, ada yang tinker, nak fikir lebih sikit, dan ada yang suka buat kerja tapi tak flex lebih-lebih. So there are actually a different combination of people that is necessary to bring us to whatever level that we think later, 5 years and 10 years from now in fact kan. Jadi for me itu dia punya kelebihan lah. Dan sebagai saya juga sebagai Timbalan Ketua Kepakaran tu, when I take the post pun I rasa macam banyak sebenarnya kita punya advantage dekat sini, terutama bila dibandingkan dengan mereka yang dekat tempat lain. Okay, so a lot, too many benefits, a lot. Jadi sampai kita tak boleh be lax over what we are and what we have. Jadi sebenarnya yang saya cakap lah, to be in HRC, there is no choice but to be at your peak performance. There is no room to be mediocre, sedang-sedang, sederhana saja, tak boleh. But of course when you have a peak, you got a bit deep, but mainly the peak have got to be higher than other people, sebab HRC is actually the trendsetter. HRC adalah influencer lah, lebih kurang when we talk about rehab in Malaysia, orang akan pandang HRC tu apa you buat. And I totally agree with you, Dr. Faizul. The fact that we were not daring enough to actually show what we have done before was actually one of the things, if I can change apa yang boleh buatkan yang tukar, that would be the one. Maksudnya we should be daring enough to actually show what we have done, daring enough to admit apa yang kurang, satu, and also daring enough to actually do something we have never done before, to actually get what we have never achieved lagi. Okay, sebab the thing is my ini penyanyi lah, if we want to do, really want to do something, we really want to have something that we've never had, then there is no choice but we just have got to do something we have never done before. Jadi ada banyak benda yang kita tak buat lagi, jadi itulah kita akan buat sama-sama untuk 5 tahun, 10 tahun dan seterusnya akan datang.
To your point, Dr. Yati, if I may elaborate a bit more, because this is also one of the things that I reflected. Betul lah, kita kena people are here, you're gonna be at your peak performance all the time. Of course lah, macam adakah ada gitan raya kita tak nak buat benda banyak sangat, bulan puasa kita slow sikit, we have that moments. But throughout the year, as you see at the end of the year, when you reflect, when you audit yourself, the department, the hospital, then you know you're actually doing better than last year. Not in terms of just the numbers, macam Dr. Tony kata, betul, it's not just about the quantity, but it's also about the quality. But to run these things, you need to have people who are actually able to lead. Kita tak produce banyak leader, right? We are not producing enough leaders. That is one thing that I think we need to change in a way. We need to be not just seeing to be delivering services that is exceptionally well. But you got to have people that are advocates out there, you know, in the fraternity, in the ministry level, in the community. So that's why it's there in number 4. So it's not just doing advocacy work to what we feel that we want to do a simple CSR, you know. It's going to also be something that we advocate at the policy drafting level. You see, you're going to be able to become a lead person. We have now Dr. Yati, who's the deputy head of service. We have Dr. Huda, who's also the head of profession for BSKB. We have Puan Raini, who's the kita punya dia panggil apa kalau dekat JKL, ketua bidang, okay, ketua bidang untuk dekat JKL, okay. Tapi beyond that, of course ada lagi lah yang beberapa yang mungkin kita tak sebut, but at that level you need to be able to lead beyond hospital. You cannot be just hospital champion. You want to become bigger than that. You want to be involved in expanding rehab punya reach at the policy level. So if we are invited to go to KKM, macam on Wednesday we're going to have discussion with the KPK, when we are invited to go and join discussion with the PKSO, I will always be there, because I want to make sure that our input are being taken into consideration, because they recognize that we are the people who are actually delivering the service. So what do you guys have to say about it? Obviously we're going to be there. We're not going to make sure that our voice are heard. But beyond that, apa lagi yang boleh kita buat? Kalau you look at other clinicians, for example, okay, you look at emergency department, we have many of their champions yang akan take up one area and become national champion for it. I take Dato' Alwi, he's retired now. Dato' Alwi was in Selayang. Waktu dia dalam servis, I memang penat dengan dia. Tapi dia memang go all out, because he want to make sure benda yang dia minat tu, which is basically disaster management, itu dia champion. Gaduh pun banyak lah dengan dia, tapi you're gonna have to give it to him. He really pushes, and his voice is heard in the national level. You look at nephrology. We've had multiple nephrologists from KKM, consultant nephrologists from KKM yang become DG pun. Even Tan Sri Abu Bakar Sulaiman. Even before that we have Datuk Zaki Murad, we have Datuk Ghazali. These are all national champions who are, you know, voicing out what they want to do in their service. Why it's important for government to invest in, katakan dialysis, sampai ada duit daripada government direct for people to go and get dialysis. These are national level policy change that they are doing. They are clinicians too. Sama juga kalau kita tengok Datuk Tunku Muzaffar for geriatric, dia geriatrician, of course dia ada banyak help and aware, but because of the ability for him to voice it out at the national level, you start to see that geriatrics are being given more attention. So champions macam ni tak semestinya kena Dr. Yati all the time, tak semestinya kena Dr. Chen all the time. They are also the young ones yang kita boleh groom daripada awal. So now, to this point, I want to ask maybe some of you who can give your opinion in terms of kita future direction on how to create leaders in this area. Anybody who wants to give their opinion? I have one or two in mind that I want to ask to take up the mic.
Nazula can.
Yeah, I want to hear from Nasuha and also Nadira.
Yeah.
Me, my position now, I think I don't see myself as a top leader, but in my position, I think I have to start challenge myself first and take up the job. Whether I don't even know whether I can do it or not. Even for myself, I always say this to even Chazrin and Puan, boss, do you really think I can do it? Because I also don't have confidence in myself. But if I understand why our boss or our leader choose me, so maybe they see the potential in me. So I have to really trust that and then work my way to that lah. Try my best to really achieve what they are expecting me to do. So the first thing is I have to really step out of my comfort zone and try that.
Thank you. Puan Nadira?
In my opinion lah, as a leader, even though this is my experience as a leader, tapi actually sebelum ni mungkin even though kita nampak leader tu mungkin something yang on the top, tetapi for me actually dalam diri sendiri pun kita boleh jadi as a leader. How we manage ourselves lah. Okay. Sebelum ni mungkin myself sendiri memang kata jadi leader yang kecil-kecil sahaja, tapi dekat situ pun kita boleh monitor and kita boleh observe juga how kita punya top leader doing something. Okay, for example macam myself sendiri selalu orang kata menjadikan contoh Dr. Yati sebagai sebuah mentor, and then I tengok juga the way macam Dr. Faizul, how you macam selalu I tengok you pergi round-round kan. So I rasa macam mungkin sebagai leader ni memang you kena selalu observe, you kena selalu tengok the other person macam mana diorang act as a leader. So daripada di situ actually kita boleh ambil contoh dan juga kita sendiri boleh tengok apa lacking ataupun apa yang kita perlu ubah dalam kita punya organisasi. So saya sendiri rasa leader tu sebenarnya ada dalam diri masing-masing. Okay, itu saja kot pendapat saya.
What support, kalau korang boleh shout out lah kan, support do you guys think you need to be the leader at a higher level beyond the hospital punya level? If we can help, if we can come up with something at our hospital. Because I'm thinking about this kind of stuff. Okay, we've had a few sessions lah where I have groups of people that I give them extra work, but macam tu lah, diorang akan alamak macam nak buat kan, because they're not equipped with the know-how. Some of us jadi ketua jabatan sebab kita naik pangkat, and then how do we do our job? Tengoklah pakar bos kita dulu buat macam mana, kita tengok bos ni buat macam mana, kita campur-campur jadi kita punya style yang baru, ataupun kita continue style yang lama lah. But that is not the way how it should be. We should be taught on how actually to lead. Benda tu is actually a social science on its own. If you want to do courses macam MBA, dia akan ajar memang ada satu modul leadership semata-mata, and multiple different type of leadership styles. Tadi apa yang Puan Nadira sebut is basically leadership lies, ni one example one contoh of leadership The leadership lies with the expertise. So when you are the expert, you lead in that field. Okay? So it's not by hierarchy. Bukan ikut carta organisasi. Carta organisasi dia akan ada different kind of leadership. So this one pula, bila you are the expert in the area, obviously you're gonna have to lead in the area. When you lead in the area, you're gonna have to equip yourself on how to lead in your local setting. Satu dalam hospital, satu lagi kat luar bila kita pergi mengajar, bila kita pergi ajar tempat lain. And how do we get them to also be at par with what you are doing? Itu technical punya leadership lah. So usually this is called shared leadership. The expertise lies, the leadership lies with the expertise where you are. Banyak lah. Kalau kita nak tanya pasal expertise, katakan untuk menguruskan certain procedures yang bawa MA kena become the lead. Some things come to the nursing part. The nurses are the leaders. Bukannya pengarah hospital dalam kes tu, bukannya ketua matron ataupun KPJH yang jadi lead. Mungkin akan ada dekat ward tertentu, dia ni lah yang anchor, yang champion kat situ. So those people need to be equipped with certain knowledge so that they can lead better in their workplace. Lepas dah terror kat workplace, baru ada confident. Kalau kita hantar dia kat luar, next step. Okay, yang macam tadi Nazwa kata, bos nampak kau dah boleh dah ni, tapi kita sendiri tak confident because we are not being given that task. Syed bagi kerja, jaga aset, jaga ni, jaga tu kan. Yang benda tu sebenarnya administratif, kena buat, tapi dia kita rasa macam renyah. Dia tak exciting. You don't feel like, okay, I'm given something that buatkan kita rasa fulfill doing that task. I don't know whether you guys feel that or not. Kalau there are demand for this, I may start some class, you know, in our free time lah, kan, untuk buat some leadership punya class, so that we can be equipped step by step. Lepas tu take up one project, small project, for you to then go and do this. I'm looking at the senior most. That's why some of you are here. You have been in the service for quite some time. You've been in the department for quite some time. You are the expert. Some of the pakar yang baru masuk ke hospital ni probably will go to you guys to get onboarded, kan? On board maksudnya to, yalah, they hit the ground running, kan? So they're gonna hit on you so that you can help them to run. Siapa yang senior MOs yang ada kita jumpa?
Dr. Farah, Dr. Azrul.
Can we hear from them?
Yeah.
Dah tukar kan? It's no longer
Boleh.
about me.
Kita tambah sikit lah masa sebab mungkin menarik topik kita hari ni. Mungkin nak dengar juga pada Dr. Kita dengar dulu Dr. Farah.
Kak Long lah, Kak Long.
Kak Long dulu
Ada dua tu Farah.
Dua pula okay. Spinal injury. Okay, Dr. Farah Kak Long dulu. Spinal.
Assalamualaikum. So back to the are we still at the leadership pengarah?
Whichever.
Yeah.
You can share your views.
Okay, so I think macam Nazwa cakap lah, we don't have confidence in ourselves. Like myself, I was thrown into being a of unit, which I rasa I tak layak sebab I bukan pakar. But as I am involved in more of the management punya project, and now I'm here with Dr. Yati support tu kadang-kadang marah pun kena juga kan Dr. Yati. And I think it's the courage to be disliked, because at some point, in order to get things to be done, you will be disliked by your colleague. And at some point, I macam, do I want to be disliked by my friends? Because they are my friends. I am open, they are my friends. So it's balancing your social skill jugalah, macam mana you not to, orang kata, it's not looking down, but how you communicate with them, how do you get them to see together your vision, to align with the hospital's vision. That's my view lah pengarah.
You touch on something very important, which is can be described as transformative leadership. What we like, what we dislike. Okay, you want to do something, obviously there are people who will agree, there will always be people who disagree. There are some people who are just neutral about it, they just go with the flow, kan? So not everyone will like you. Sama lah, you know, everywhere you are. Tak jadi leader pun sama, ada orang tak suka kat kita. Especially when you are out there, you become the leader, easily you become the center of hate lah. You will put it in that way. Tapi I don't see it as a hate. It's basically a disappointment. because they are expecting you to be able to do something in this way because that is their expectation. So transformative leadership. You just described transformative leadership just now. Transformative leadership is basically now the words has left my brain. Apa?
Mungkin kita dengar dulu Dr. Farah. Betul boleh ni.
It's coming. Because she can say something else.
Okay.
Okay, being able to you are tolerated at the rate that they are actually disappointed at the rate that your followers are able to tolerate it. They are disappointed in you, but at the rate that they can tolerate. Up to a point where they cannot tolerate you, then things will break up. So disappointing people, this is the right word, disappointing your followers at the rate that they can tolerate you. That is transformative leadership. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to do that transformation. So if you are hitting it too much, moving too fast, and tak ada, okay, pergi work on the soft touch a bit, and soft skills on the sikit, then they're going to start to revolt. So that is where you're going to be able to make change. Sorry.
Dr. Farah Husna pula. Tadi Farah Dila, ni Farah Husna.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, tadi dia peluang sebab dia ketua unit. Okay, so
Pandai,
I'm senior medical officer in Spinal. My work involve clinical and non-clinical because as a senior. So when I involve in clinical, of course I involve with all the patients and then those staff, those clinical staff. And for the non-clinical, I involve with all the admin people lah. Okay, so in my opinion, as a leader, dia ada dua jenis leader. Okay, one leader yang actually people listen to you because they respect you. Okay, another leader, they listen to you because they are afraid of you. Okay, at the end of it, the job will be done, but those yang respect you, okay lah, yang tu okay lah. Those yang takut dengan you, maybe dia buat tak seikhlas hati lah. Okay, and then but working with a lot of people, sometimes manusia ni can have different background. Sometimes you become a good leader, you try to be humble with them so that they respect you. You try to be tegas, tak garang, tegas, so that they listen to you. But somehow at one point they can how do I say, macam pijak kepala. So that is when we have to be another leader. Leader yang garang, leader yang menekan-nekan, so that they are afraid of you and they get the job done.
Okay, so what type of leader are you?
At this point, I don't care. I don't care as long as the job is done.
So that means you are able to use it according to the situation lah.
Yes.
Okay. This is the highest level of leadership. Because you're going to be able to master different kind of leadership types yang ada ni, and you can use it when you need to use it. It's called situational leadership. So situational leadership ni dia dah master lah. Tapi kadang-kadang tu lah dia sebut dua je kan, banyak lagi. So explore more, read a bit more, and then you're going to be able to actually dia time ni aku nak kena guna autocratic ni. And they Darth Vader, whatever you say, you don't do, I just choke you. Okay, and that's one type. But there are also type where you are laissez-faire, right? Do whatever you want. I want a good job get done. You go out, masuk kerja bila you suka, tak kisah. And you buat weekend ke, you buat malam ke, tak kisah. But on this date, I want it to be done. How you do it, it's up to you. This is different type, and they are two extreme. And in between, there's many other different types. So be able to know that and use it. Like she said, I don't know, I don't care. The job get done, I am happy.
Okey, menarik pengarah. Jadi mungkin kita boleh batalkan bengkel, teruskan podcast. Macam menarik podcast ni. Okey, sangat menarik perkongsian-perkongsian yang telah diberikan. Tadi saya nak sentuh sikit berkenaan dengan pandangan Dr. Yati berkenaan dengan flexing tu. I think kita selalu shout berkenaan dengan kita the only one, kita hanyalah hospital yang pertama dekat Malaysia apa semua. Padahal bila saya nampak masa saya masuk kat HRC ni, banyak yang buat macam tak nak ke depan tau. You don't want to flex your things, your job done. Sebab pelik lah, maknanya macam kita selalu shout berkenaan kita dia leading rehab, perubatan rehab, kita the only one in Malaysia, tapi banyak benda-benda yang kita tak nak pun flex. So macam mana orang nak tahu you punya kerja tu? So I think that's the mindset juga yang perlu kita ubah lah. Okay, kita ada jawab soalan-soalan daripada netizen katanya. Okay, speaking about dream, tadi Dr. Yati pun cakap pasal dream. So imagine it's 2030 pengarah, and HRC has made national or international news from major achievement. So what would the headline say? Apa yang you nak headline tu nanti tentang HRC in 2030?
To be honest, I never thought about that. If it happens, then it'll be good. And I hope the headline says positive things about us lah. It can also be, we can be in the news for various reasons. You know, nowadays they say, with the social media and content production, there's no such thing as negative publicity. Negative publicity is publicity nevertheless. Tapi you don't want lah to be known for the negative reason. You want to be flooded with positive reasons, because that will build up people punya confidence in what you do. So you want to be the trusted brand. This is what Dr. Aisyah punya word lah when she was talking about us. I think I remember clearly, she said HRC must be the trusted brand in rehab medicine in Malaysia. So I use back that one. So I hope whatever comes up in the headline is about the branding, and also the trust that people have in us, from the service, from the leadership, from the compassionate, from the empathy part, from our research, from our innovations, all that, So I hope all those are the ones that are going to come up in the headlines. Macam 2 days or 3 days ago when Timbalan Menteri datang, we can see lah adalah keluar some headlines. It's already there, but hopefully in the future is much more. Dan macam IJN will come up with the headlines with certain things that they've done first of kind dalam world, kan? Benda macam tu lah. But even if it does not come up in the headline, it does not matter actually. Because those claps that we get, we know ourselves that what are we doing here. Our patients themselves know. But like Cik Madam kata lah, kalau kita tak flex, who's gonna flex for us? Patient dia akan balik rumah, dia akan cakap kat family dia je, oh gila bagus lah pergi hospital tu, kan. At the most dia come to hospital, dia bagi tahu kat dia bagus. Balik-balik dia letak dalam dia punya komen dekat Facebook ke, ataupun tu lah kertas yang korang suruh isi malam-malam pelanggan. Habis kat situ lah, kan. No one else knows about it. So now memang dunia yang semua orang ni kena flexing, kena tunjuk. So I hope that comes up in the headline because of the flexing that we do, and also because of the good work that we do.
Alright, thank you Pengarah. So back to strategic plans lah. Kita ada soalan juga berkenaan dengan strategic planning kita pada hari ini. So the question is, strategic plans often fail because organizations try to do many things at once. What should HRC deliberately stop, reduce or deprioritize so that we can focus our resources on what matters most?
So what actually matters most? You're going to have to define that. Alright? What matters most to your service delivery? Is it just running your daily service? Is it looking at the future and trying to be there? At the same time cutting down some of your services if you cannot do it? Or is it actually trying to do both but fail at doing both miserably? So that thinking, that decision making is not up to me. It's up to all of you. That's why I always say the hospital, the HRC, it's not about the pengarah. It's about the people in it. And your voice matters. Kita nak buat benda macam-macam, tapi in the end kita break because we couldn't get break from it. You break because you couldn't get the break from it. You see, it's an irony because you want to do it tapi you dah penat. So that's where apa yang Dr. tulis tadi sangat penting, the mental health of our staff. So when you want to do something, obviously there need to be a realization of what is realistic and what is not realistic. If we want to become Pakeso, it's not realistic. You can dream, it's free to dream. It's not problem to have that. But that dream must be something that is realistic. So people going to the star, is that realistic? It's not realistic lah kalau kita yang bukan astronaut yang berfikir kan. Tapi we can still reach for the star, because you can just close your hand and you can reach for, you can grab the stars. But to reach there, maybe it's difficult, but you have to be realistic. So project management is one skill that I think most ketua jabatan, ketua unit kena ada. So project management, dia involve three different triangle. It's a triangle that you're gonna have to try and balance. It's basically the time and also the money or the resources, and number three is the quality. You might have the time, you may not have the money. So the quality will be jeopardized by the money. You may have the money, but you don't have enough time. So the quality of the outcome might be jeopardized because you buat kerja tu dia setengah siap, masa tak ada. So you're going to be in moderation of all these three, and all these three things need to be done. Saya kata lah, it's a trade-off. So that decision for you to trade off which one comes down to you. And obviously service cannot stop lah. Whatever it is, the service must continue to run, even at the basic level. Kena ada. But you're gonna decide, okay, service runs every day at this time to this time, I have time in between. Instead of, I'm gonna do something which is not relevant to where we are going, I'm gonna spend my time doing this. I'm not gonna go and do my shopping on the Shopee during working time, because I can use that half an hour to work on the strategic plan, to try and achieve whatever that we have decided to do. Because after all, it's working time. Some people spend after office hours to also do this. So it's only fair that everyone spend their working time, at least, their working time to go and spend fully 8 to 5 atau whatever time that you're here, that you're actually working on getting things done. Efficiency. So down again to that. Dia pusing-pusing balik benda sama lah. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, terima kasih Mara. So kita mungkin kesukaan masa, kerana kita ada soalan last lah. But before we come to the next, the last questions, kita nak dengar juga kepada Encik Nordin. Ya, ada soalan berkenaan apa tu Encik Nordin? Ada soalan tak nak beri kepada pengarah? Tak ada? Tak ada mungkin ada sebagai orang senior mungkin nak dengar pandangan juga, pendapat pada Encik Nordin berkenaan dengan bengkel plan strategik pada hari ini.
Tuan Yang Mulia, saya nak tanya okay, tak tahulah tanya ke bagi pandangan cuma saya rasa bila kita nak buat sesuatu dalam kerajaan ini, kita leader yang bukan memilih tim kita tu entah dipilih oleh sesiapa lah. Okay, kita ni kena manage. As a leader, kena manage tim yang datang pada kita. So macam yang tadi Puan apa tu, yang senior tu cakap, macam-macam ragam lah. Okay? Macam-macam ragam. So kadang-kadang keinginan leader itu untuk mencapai sesuatu dengan tim yang ada, yang bukan pilihannya, dia nak manage. Okay, so dari segi kata lain tu, leadership tu ada banyak situational, autokratik, macam-macam.
Okay, soalan jadi soalan.
Macam-macam. Okay, so macam mana nak uruskan yang begini? Sebab ada orang dia datang kerja, dia dapat gaji, dia nak balik je. Sebab kita dalam satu organisasi yang, yelah, dia tak kisah pun dia nak jadi leader ke, dia tak nak jadi leader pun, dia dapat je apa yang dia hajati. Ada orang suka untuk jadi leader tapi tak dapat peluang. Ada orang tak nak jadi leader tapi dipaksa jadi leader. So semua golongan ni ada dalam ni. Ada dalam plan strategi ni pun ada. Tapi as a top leader lah, kita panggil top leader yang terpaksa manage semua orang dalam bengkel ni, pendekatan yang pengarah gunalah untuk macam mana tackle benda ni untuk menjadikan kita lah untuk capai 20-30 tu lah.
Panjang penjelasan ni tapi soalan kita macam mana nak tackle semua ni lah
Saya rasa point Cik Nordin tu, ulasan dia tu memang on point lah kan. Memang it's not easy kan to get everyone, and betul lah, we are given that team, you inherit that team, sometimes you added on that team. Ada setengah orang macam Cik Nordin datang lepas saya masuk ke sini kan, ada yang kemudian join, ada yang tinggalkan kita, ada yang kita rasa dia dah buat kerja bagus dah ni, beban dia kena keluar, dia pangkat dan sebagainya. Contoh Puan ni akan leave soon. Contohlah kita jadi anxiety kan, siapa yang nak masuk nanti yang ganti, bila nak masuk ganti, itu contohnya kan. Sebab tu kerja saya, kerja top management saya sebanyaknya, saya kata buat more than 50%, 60%, mungkin 70% lah of my time is spent on managing people. Managing people ni, tu yang dia jadi penat, because you have to manage the people. People datang macam-macam ragam lah kan. Bila datang macam-macam ragam, dan you gonna have to manage them. You gonna have to know. Dia tak boleh dengar je satu cerita, dengar cerita yang lain. Tadi dah dengar satu cerita dah sejam, dah dengar dari side story another 1 jam. Lepas tu tiba-tiba ada pula The Grapevine kan. The Grapevine kat HRC ni dia sangat lah banyak kan. Grapevine ni macam tak tahulah macam mana cerita itu kan, korang tahulah Grapevine HRC kan. Dia tanpa ada orang datang jumpa dengan saya pun saya dah tahu lah. Jadi benda macam ni it comes with some ability to manage the people. Tapi kalau kita tak put forward where we want to go, the Grapevine tu akan jadi lagi besar dan ambil alih kerja masa-masa orang lah. People don't spend time doing their work because they don't know where they are going. Instead they spend their time doing the Grapevine work. They contributed pada Grapevine. Tahu kan Grapevine ni apa? Ada yang tak faham Grapevine ni apa? It's basically membawang lah, membawang, mencerita, mengasut sana sini kan. Orang ni macam ni, orang ni macam tu. In the end itu tak penting. You want to do your work, you are paid by the government, by the taxpayers money for us to do our work. Dan kita pun sign up for this job, jadi healthcare worker, masuk dalam kerajaan untuk buat kerja, bukan untuk kita mengadu domba, untuk kita menyebarkan fitnah, menyebarkan membawang kan. That's not what we want to do. So kalau time untuk kita reallocate buat kerja yang sebenarnya, orang nak cakap okay, let's just block ourselves from this, we just focus on doing work. And I think we're going to be able to do the work done well. That's why the future direction saya letakkan ni, kita sama-sama buat, because it's not 100% coming from me. The effort, yes, kita kata let's sit down and do this. Saya pun tak pandai nak buat plan strategik ni. Kalau tengok plan strategik dalam KKM ada macam-macam. Yang KKM ni macam lain, bahagian ni macam lain, program macam lain, profession macam lain, hospital ada beberapa model. So approach dia macam-macam. So kita decide, okay, this is probably the best way for us to do. We try and get this done. In the end of the day, dia akan ada ini apa yang kita nak capai, ini yang sepatutnya kita capai. Then at the end of that 4 month, kita evaluate, kita capai tak capai. Kalau tak capai, kenapa? Kena carry forward ke tak? Ataupun sebenarnya benda ni lepas kita dah buat setahun, kita nampak macam cannot lah, this one cannot go. So kita kena revise. Lepas tu dia akan ada plan of action bagi setiap tahun. That's why this comes in, so that masa kita ni terluang untuk kita nak capai benda ni. At the end of 5 years, hopefully we are there. There's no guarantee that we're going to be there. All depends on all of you and staff-staff bawah-bawah kita lah, staff bawah orang semua juga yang akan menjalankan tugasan-tugasan ni. So kenalah kadang-kadang menekan, kena kadang-kadang kena biat, kena kadang-kadang mengujuk, kena kadang-kadang bagi makan donat kan. Adalah macam-macam strategi yang digunakan. At the end of the day, macam Farah tadi sudah kata, the job get done. Itulah yang harapannya.
Baiklah, okey. Kita pun dah nak penghujung rancangan katanya untuk kita teruskan dengan back to business lah, bengkel plan strategi HRC 2026 dan 2030. untuk soalan terakhir, tadi pengarah pun cakap tadi pasal meninggalkan, Puan Yasmin pun akan meninggalkan kita, kemudian mungkin saya pun akan meninggal, pengarah pun mungkin satu hari akan meninggalkan HRC juga. Namun saya nak tahulah, apakah legasi yang pengarah ingin tinggalkan kepada HRC jika one day, one fine day pengarah meninggalkan HRC, dan apakah perkara yang pengarah harap akan terus menjadi budaya dan juga identiti di hospital ini?
Saya rasa soalan yang tak fair. Saya tak ada hasrat nak meninggalkan apa-apa legacy, because it's not fair for the legacy to belong to the pengarah. It's not my work alone, it's the work of everyone. Bukan saja orang yang ada kat sini, termasuk juga mereka yang ada dekat HRC sekarang. Diorang yang buat kerja, korang semua yang buat kerja. So it's going to be your legacy that you're going to leave behind. Like I said, the hospital is not about the director, it's not about its top management. We are also, like you, doing work for the HRC, getting paid every day. Obviously, we put forth what we want to do and we want to do it best. The culture that I want to see, or whatever that I want to see, remains after I leave. I hope the culture that shifted towards goal-oriented and outcome that matters, itu yang saya harap berubah ke arah situ. It's not going to be an overnight change. Selama ni kita buat servis tanpa ada hala tuju yang boleh dikatakan teratur, dan juga outcome monitoring terhadap apa yang kita nak capai. Kita sebut dalam meeting, benda ni kena buat. Lepas tu mungkin tak ada timeline, mungkin tak ada seorang yang check dan pastikan benda tu jalan. So sometimes benda tu pengarah tak tanya, kita pun slow sikit lah, kan? Kita bagi alasan lah, kita bagi ni lah, kita bagi tu lah. So that culture of kicking the can down the road, I hope we can change. It's not going to be my legacy, like I said, it's going to be HRC's legacy for the future. So whoever comes in the future, I hope whatever that we've been doing, they can continue lah, kan? Mungkin tambah baik lagi. Kita tak tahu sama ada apa kita buat ni bagus ataupun tak. We are always blinded by our own thoughts. Like I said, kita punya blind spot tu besar. Hopefully the blind spots can be filled up by all of you, by each other of us. Kadang-kadang saya blind spot besar, please let me know. Like I always call out people in meetings or ataupun certain things, because those might be in your blind spots, but nobody call out my blind spots. So how can it be my legacy? So I end with that question.
Baiklah, terima kasih banyak pengarah Dr. Faizul Izam bin Abdul Salim atas very insightful sharing, I would say, dan kepada semua yang participate during the podcast kita Beyond Vision. Jadi sebelum kita mengakhiri majlis kita pada hari ini, di kesempatan ini juga saya ingin mengucapkan sambutan ulang tahun ke HRC ke-14 pada bulan Julai, if I'm not mistaken, dan kita ada juga menyediakan kek anniversary untuk kita sama-sama potong untuk meraihkan sambutan ulang tahun kita yang ke-18 tahun. Jadi dengan itu saya Muhammad Mihrab bin Zain Azman sign up for this podcast lah. Terima kasih banyak pengarah. Assalamualaikum.